Hello, good morning, happy Tuesday, and I remembered to turn on the mic today. I also remember to switch its position in my Stream Deck, so I was able to actually see it. But hey, little victories. Let me go ahead and turn off the music. Hello, Esitsu. Good morning. Hello. Okay, so we are on custom errors today, and we did a little bit of this yesterday. So we updated the guard to use this. Now we have this import into response, but I don't think that's necessary, right? Because we could just no, this one does import into response. I think. I believe you have to do import into response. I don't think I can say app error. Maybe I can. Hold on. Where's my guard? Guard. So instead of doing this, can I do app error? Oh yeah, that's so much of a better thing. You see that there's some Discord activity with people going through the course. It must be a good feeling, right? Yes, it absolutely is. So it's good knowing that people are going through it. It's also good getting validation and feedback that it's helping, and that it's something that like is good, and people like it. It lets me know that I'm on the right track. So I am sort of behind the scenes. I found a designer, and I've been working with them to build sort of like an LMS, a learning management system, for a little bit more like the next level up of courses. And those would be courses that I would feel more comfortable selling. So it would provide um, hopefully more value than just like the videos would be. And that would be sort of like the next level up. So that's sort of like the next the thing that I'm going to be working on next after these two courses. And I'm not sure. I think it'll probably take me around 2 to 3 months to build that LMS, but I'll probably build it part of it on stream, part of it off stream. We'll see. Okay, so I can return an app error, which means I want to build app error first. And that's going to go into utilities app error, which is just the struct that has like the message and the code in it. The new is helpful because it just creates that. The import into string is nice because I'm just lazy. Now, I could also potentially just throw an error into it too. If I throw an error in, is there a toString on errors? I don't think there is. Lord Mist, hello. I want to see about that. So if I have an error, where do I have errors? Hello World doesn't have a possibility of an error. Just look through these. Okay, so create task has a very much possibility of an error. Okay, so if I create task, oh, you know what also has a possibility of an error? The guard, doesn't it? So we don't have an error there. So missing token, and that's fine. We don't have an error here. But here we have an error. So if I take this error, can I pass in the error? Like, can I do an error to string? No. Okay, so toString doesn't exist on errors. Because what could I do off of this? Wait, I can do toString? The trait bound string from db error is not satisfied. Oh, because it's into. So toString would work, but into would not. Then the toString might be better to use. So I literally might want to implement you. Where's my app error? Impl not into. It'd just be impl toString. You just call toString manually there at the top level. I guess I could do that. Okay, so into string, and so then I could do dot toString. Okay, we do that. You're happy, which means if I come back and do hello world, missing token. Oh, can I force that error? Oh, I don't know if I can force that error. Because that's a database error. That's like in case the database was off. But I could do that. Okay, so if we come back to you. Okay, hello world, but what if okay, so it's waiting to try to connect to the database, and then it times out, and then I should get that error back from the database connection. Yizanab Hiza. Hello. Good morning. Also, I'm not going to be able to pronounce. I'm sorry for that pronunciation of your username. Um, Not sure you want to forward database error messages. Yeah, I know. I just want to see what this is. Failed to acquire connection from pool. Okay, so we did get that error, so that technically works. Yazan. Okay, I'll try to remember Yazan. I wish that Twitch would let me put little notes for people. I wonder if I could do that as an extension. That'd be really cool. But Yazan, okay. Hello. All right. So yeah, we do not want to do that. So maybe I should also mention that, like, hey, you could do this now. You could just send the error in with this met error to string, but this is also going back to the front end, so you may not want to do that. So you may want to just, put out internal server error. Hello, Steven. You took a sick day yesterday. You're like half sick. Should you do a sick day today? I mean, that is up to you and your work. If you feel sick and You think that after today you'd be better, then yes, take a sick day. If you feel that if you worked and you'd get even more sick potentially and it would take like 2 or 3 days, then yes, take a sick day. If you're afraid that your work would retaliate and like remove work from you or punish you for taking a sick day, then don't take a sick day. So it's gonna depend on a couple different things. Exactly. There's tech layoffs going on, and it really gonna depend upon how safe you feeling doing that. Like generally speaking, I feel pretty safe at my job, but I've also got a really good relationship with my company, and so I've got that. Okay, so we could probably mention that. Let's also restart you. Okay, so we create. Oh right, we have to update Jot to do to return app error as well. Okay, so basically we first create app error. App error is literally just a struct that takes in a message and a code. We implement a new function for it. We impl into response for it, and we do a tuple, and then we cannot forget that there's this into response method at the end that we call. And then once we do that, we're good to go. I'm also doing this as a response. Oh, response message is JSON to send this back. Stacking, hello. How are you doing today? Okay, and then once I do that, then the rest of it is implementing it. Um, Probably choose guard because we could do it on the hello world. Uh, right, because then we'd have the missing token that we can do it with. Yes, that works. Okay. So let's stash this. This was working uh working app error. Why do I have 3 warnings? I should remove those first. Unused import into response? What? Oh no, I just have to save and get it to be fine. Okay. No errors, no warnings. We are good to go. And I believe Hello World is okay. We're back to working again. Did I see the patch notes from Axum 0.6? It can now compile to Wasm. You can't wait to go home today and play with that and the new Docker. So I did see that it could compile to Wasm, and I don't know if I properly wrapped my head around what that really means. I think like my first thought was like, so I can use this in the front end. Um, Now I know that there's a lot of use cases for Docker in the back end, like Docker. Sorry, not Docker. I'm getting all this stuff confused. Well, for Wasm, outside of the browser, but like in backend environments, in IoT environments, and other things. Um, so I'm wondering if that's where it gets really interesting. Is that doing Wasm inside of some other environment? But yeah, so Lord Mist, I'm with you with this. Is like I don't know if I understand the use cases for that yet, and I wonder if they're going to create a good like sort of tutorial or documentation on like why you would want that, because if I get that opened up for me and I can see a reason why, and I can actually see like my reason why, then uh that would be exciting. You can deploy it to Cloudflare workers if it was compiled to WASM. But why? Why would I want to put a backend framework in Cloudflare workers? Wouldn't I just want more of like a front end style, like really lightweight code in Cloudflare workers? It's just a super light Docker container. They're basically 35 megabytes, which means you can turn Docker into a FAS, uh, a function as a service. But we would need Axum for that. Find it completely rigorous to throw out performance by compiling an otherwise needed program to a VM language. Cloudflare, what's wrong with you? Um, Interesting. I wonder if they're doing if they have like some custom stuff behind the scenes to like make WASM faster, or like make the VM part of it faster. I don't know. It's interesting. I've never played with Cloudflare workers or any. I've never played with Cloudflare before. So like I know what it does, but I've just never. I don't even have an account with it. That might be something interesting to play with in the future. I just don't necessarily have a use case for it yet. Maybe edge functions. To be fair, it is primarily JS, and the WASM was just an add-on option. Okay, so basically, it is it sort of like a marketing thing from like Cloudflare's part, and that they're like, hey, we also do this because it was free for them. I see companies do that a lot, where it's like, hey, it costs us nothing extra, and we get another check mark next to the features we have, which is, I guess nice. I don't think that I'm the user for this one, but uh let's see. Stacking, you said you're gonna play with it. So when you play with it, and like if it's really awesome and like there is a really good use case like for my stuff also, let us know. Maybe even just your stuff. Just let us know how it is. Um and what we should be using it for. Because maybe we're just like missing everything. Okay. In the meantime, we're going to now create these custom errors. All right, so gonna do that now. All right, so response. I don't think I need anything else. Oh, and I'll probably start with that. I just get this, and I want both the status, but I want a JSON message. Okay. Okay, then let us begin our recording. Here we go. Before they should absolutely support more options and actual executables, but at the moment it just runs JS and the Rust WASM. Started as a semi-official experimental feature. I wonder if they're going to use that as a jumping gate to other things. Either way, if WASM starts getting used as a custom runtime in non-web stuff, that could be really interesting, especially if you can use it almost like middleware in things. Like, here's like a bunch of IoT devices. Do you want to customize how they work? Just load up just side load some WASM into it. That could be interesting. That could be a way for them to support other languages without supporting other languages. All right. Well, anyways, that's all besides the point. Let's get going with recording this video. Okay. Custom errors. Here we go. All right. We have done a lot so far. We've got good authentication. We're able to create our users. We're able to create our tasks. But we don't necessarily have really good error messages. And so I want to show today how we can have custom error messages. Let's sort of take a look at what it looks like from our user's point of view right now when using this app. So if we hit hello world, we're getting this 401 authorized error with no response message at all, which is not that great. So I guess the status code is good. It lets us know what's going on, but a response message would be nice. So let's create a custom error object that returns both the code and a JSON object for us. So I'm going to do this inside of utils. I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call this app error. And let's go ahead and mod this. All right, app error is simply going to be a struct that implements into error or into response. So start with pub struct app error. It's going to take in a code. So let's make this. Do you need to be public? I don't remember if you need to be public. We'll find out. We have a code that is going to be a status code, and we want some kind of message, which we can make this a string. I like to have a new function, essentially like a constructor for this to make it a little bit nicer to use. So we're going to impl app error pub function new. We're going to take in the code, which is going to be a status code, and we're going to take in a message, which is, now my initial thought would be, what if I just put this as a stir? Well, we have some things that may be strings, maybe stirs, maybe I don't want to give ownership for it. It might make it a little bit nicer for us if we just have it impl, like, into string. So that I could just do it like an into for that. So let's do a impl into string. So anything that implements this, we accept. And we're doing this mostly because I'm lazy and I don't want to have to do the into on the other side of this function if I don't really need to. And it also allows me to hand in whatever I want as long as it, implements into string. And we're going to return a new self. Okay, so self. All right, for code, well, that's just the status code. That's easy enough. For the message, we just want message.into. And we're good to go. Okay, so we can create the new app errors here. But we can't really use this yet because the app errors aren't usable until we can return it as a response. And Axum gives us a trait that we can use called into response. So we want into response for app error. We'll implement the missing members. Okay, into response takes in the self and returns this Axum response. Okay, great. Now, if we want to return a status code and like a JSON response, we're going to return a tuple. So the tuple will look like this and have two things. Well, the first thing is going to be the status code. So that's going to be the self.code. And the second thing is going to be whatever we want. It could be just a string or it could be JSON. So I'm going to do JSON and self.message. Well, but self.message is just a string, so that's not really JSON. So let's create a really quick struct that's going to derive serialize. So we're going to have struct. This is like response message. We'll have a message, and this will be a string. Oh, and we need to derive serialize. We don't really need deserialize for this one. Okay, so you are going to be a response message. Message is self.message. Okay, now it's yelling at us saying, hey, it expected this response thing. At the end of the tuple here, we can do into response, and that converts the tuple into the appropriate response. And now we have, we have a working app error. So let's go see if we can use this. I'm going to go into the guard so we can use this hello world again and see an actual proper error. Okay, so to begin with, okay, so we have our async guard. You return this result. All right, so right off the bat, we're returning status code here. I want to return an app error. If we do this, now we're getting problems. Okay, so okay, or this instead of a bad request, I'm going to change this into an okay or else, which allows me to then create that struct if and only if we really need it. So this takes in a closure. We're going to do a app error, new, wants the status code. So let's do status code. This is an internal server. This is missing token. So this is going to be a bad request. And the message is going to be missing token. Missing bearer token. Okay. Next up, you. So, okay, or else. I can just cut you out. Closure. We'll have an app error, new. Paste you back in. Our message here. So we, this is just an internal server error. I wouldn't necessarily want to tell the front end exactly what's going on with this. So we're just going to obfuscate it and say, hey, something went wrong. We don't know what it is. Okay. Then user. Okay, so the map error. So this is a result. We need a map error. Now we have this error here. So I'm going to take our internal server error. We're going to do an app error, new, paste that back in. Now for this message, I could do an error dot toString, which will turn into a string and then pass that in. But this is, again, an internal message directly from the database. I don't know if I really want to send this to the front end for our users to see. Perhaps during debugging that might be helpful, but in reality, we probably want to obfuscate what the error message is and just say internal server error. Maybe this could also be an error that's good to display to a user. So maybe it's something like, oops, something went wrong. Please try again later. Let's return set. Okay, so this is returning a error. So we want to return an app error here. So app error, new status code. So this is unauthorized. So this is, we couldn't find the user because they had previously logged out. So we'll just say user is like, you're not authorized. You are not authorized. Please log in or create account. Okay. And that is, I still see, okay, you is valid. We have is valid. Okay, so we need to go over to is valid, which is this. Okay, so instead of returning status code, we're now going to return an app error. All right, we have to fix you. So decode. Okay, so here's our map error. So we take in the error, we match what the kind of error is. You have status code unauthorized. We cut you out. We're going to do an app error, new, unauthorized, and then this is that the let's see, the signature was expired, so your session has expired. Please log in again. Now this one, internal server error, is just something went wrong. So we return an app error, new, something went wrong. Please try again. Okay, I've got no errors, no warnings. We can come back to hello world, and if I hit this instead of the 401 unauthorized, we get a 401 unauthorized and a JSON error message with a nice message for us to sort of show off to our users to let them know. And this is a way that we can now, well, display good things to our users, but also we can now pepper all of that custom error all throughout our code and then properly question mark all the way up into the handlers. And it makes things a lot nicer. So we don't have to say, oh, this thing understands what a status code is. It really just doesn't care about that. It's, just sending something out. And you can customize that custom error to be whatever works with, your thought process and your apps. That's where the customization would go, and it would be in charge of knowing how to respond out to the end user at the end. Anyways, hopefully this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. All right. Not sure why I wouldn't just implement serialize on app error. Yeah, I guess like part of it is I would just want to show off that like you don't have to blindly implement deserialize on everything. You could just minimize and just do whatever you want. But I'm pretty sure that you're right on production builds. It will just strip out the stuff that I'm not using. Okay, so that's working. Let's close you off. We have custom errors here. Okay, and this is custom errors. Okay, and I guess that's also helper utilities now done. Okay, that brings us to, let's git commit this. So custom errors. You could also do either cert a skip or whatever that was called on the status code field, or alternatively just include it. You've seen many APIs do that. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I keep on forgetting that I could do custom stuff to cert a. Like I just so often just use the basic serialize, deserialize, and just nothing else. Okay, so use a Docker container in production. Do I really need this? Like, I feel like just a single video of like build this in Docker would be more helpful. Like create a Docker container, create a Docker image, or maybe like not even, I don't know if like Docker like fits in here, or if that would just be its own course. Like go learn Docker and then just put it in Docker. Because there's nothing strange about setting up Axum inside of Docker. It just works. It is slow if you're on Windows or Mac and you're doing development work in it. So I don't know. Like I feel like this would be its own thing separately. Now deploying is going to be interesting because I feel like that should be like deploying might be a micro course on its own. Exactly. It's like it's not really related to this, so I'm gonna remove it. Um, I do think that there is value in creating like a micro course, like a really small, like just video, like a long video where we just go through and create stuff in Docker. That would be fun. Deploying to a server. Okay, so this might be more of a discussion. You personally don't even use Docker for most of your web services, and it's really another can of worms. Really, like I'm using Docker a lot for like spinning up databases. Uh, like for dev stuff, like spin up a database, spin up other things. Like Rust Up does a pretty good job at like keeping all of our stuff separated, like version wise. So I don't really feel the need to like put all of my code in Docker. And absolutely no one who uses Docker develops their server inside a Docker container. Yeah, that makes sense. Like there is deployments. Like if you're using something like ECS, entity container system. No, not entity. It's elastic container system on AWS, for example, Kubernetes. Uh, what are some of the other ones? I forget the other ones, but those are deploying in Docker, where you create a Docker image and then it spins up containers from that with your code in it. Those are pretty popular. But again, if you know ECS stuff, like that, you're teaching ECS, not teaching like a Rust Axum. Like, who cares about Axum? It doesn't matter in the end. So deploying this, um, it's just a binary in the end, right? We're just building this. You put this on a server, you run it, and then you point. I mean, at that point, you're just pointing Nginx at it or something like Nginx. I don't know if I want to do a full like tutorial on Nginx as part of this, but maybe a brief discussion on like, hey, here are your options for deployment. That might be helpful. So deploying to the server. Also, this is like under helper utilities. That doesn't make sense. I want like oh, this is like dev. Oh, I think I removed DevOps. Yeah, I do. There have been like a lot of questions I've seen on like the Axum Discord of like, how do I deploy? And I think maybe just this would be less of like, this is not a code tutorial lesson. This would be a, hey, here are your choices. It's up to you though. Up to you to do it. Also, my like I have that deploying to DigitalOcean course, which has setting up and using Nginx as part of it. If you were not using a container servers like Kubernetes, then you would skip Nginx and expose the web server directly, but that would require setting up SSL and Axum. I would never set up SSL in any of my backend frameworks. I would always use something like Nginx and put SSL inside of that because it's so much easier. It like, yeah, and opens up the ability for like any kind of emergency backups or something else. Like even if you're not using Kubernetes, you can still do horizontal scaling decently easily with a load balancer outside of the VPC. So yeah, so I guess like DevOps. So this is the things that I want to sort of discuss here. This is all going to be one video. So DevOps, we have deployment. So what I want to discuss as part of this, um, this is going to be what our choices are. So really like just like to a VP, I guess like to your own server. So to your own server, to a VPC, and then to some like Dockerized thing. So the container system, a container service like Kubernetes, like ECS. And then I probably want to talk about certificates. So SS, it's TLS, I believe. Is it TLS? It's not S. I don't think it's SSL. I don't think that's the right thing because like it's not secure shell. I think it's TLS. I think that's right. TLS. Okay, excellent. Never heard it. Oh, wait. How am I supposed to pronounce it? In my mind, I'm the not like the Kubernetes is like the E. Uh, is it Kubernetes? Is that it? Kubernetes. Um, where did I get the other one? I could swear that I heard somebody else say that, and I probably just picked it up and just followed them. Although I do like the idea of Kubernetes like spelled out that way because it it's just it's just so complex. Okay, Kubernetes. I will try to remember that so that people don't make fun of me in the comments because that will happen. Um, okay, so here we go. We're gonna do just a discussion on deployment, and so this should be a fairly short video. All right, we're done. We have built out all the features. We have a back end. We would potentially want to deploy this somewhere. So what are our options? Well, because this is Rust and it's a compiled language, we compile the project into a single binary file, and then we can execute it on the server of our choice. Now, what can be these servers? Well, it could be anything really. It could be our own server. Let's say you have a Raspberry Pi, or you actually have a racked server in your house that's just in your basement or someplace that you could just throw it on there. So SSH in, SCP it in, go in and get pull, compile there, or compile somewhere else. It doesn't really matter. You get the binary onto that server and then you execute it. Or you can put it onto a VPC. Well, a VPC is just somebody's computer in the cloud that you have access to, that you could SSH into, get the binary onto there, and then also have it be executed and run. Our next options are container services. So this would be something like Amazon's Elastic Container Service, so ECS, or a Kubernetes thing, where you're just having something run a whole bunch of your servers at the same time, just in case you need to scale up infinitely. Um, Now, if you're going to go the route of not containerizing it, but you're going to run it on your own system, I highly recommend having some kind of Nginx or load balancer running outside of the VP, outside of, well, your binary. It could be on the same VPC or it could be outside of it. Now, in the case of like Amazon, if you're using AWS, you're probably going to have a load balancer, and then you have your VPC, and then you have your binary on that VPC running. Now, the reason for that is TLS. It is not a best practice to put TLS inside of our web servers, simply because it's just a nightmare to maintain. It's a nightmare to set up and do. And every time you change the certificate, you have to do a new deploy. And you don't want to do that. Instead, you want to put that inside of something like Nginx, a load balancer, and all the encrypted traffic goes from our end users, so the browsers, to the Nginx. Then Nginx can talk HTTP to the server, but that's in a private network that nobody else should be able to access. So that should be fine. Anyways, that's a lot, I know, but that's general idea of deployment, and hopefully should get you where to go. Now, deploying this pretty much going to be exactly the same as deploying anything else. So with that, good luck with that. I don't think we have anything else besides the project for, well, this course, and then any addendums that we add in later on. So with that, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this has been helpful, and I will see you next time. Bye. Okay. That is this done. And I think I want to do, well, okay. So add a thought. Tell me what you think about this. I could update the lessons. Well, I told you it was going to be short. It was just a discussion about the options. That's it. That's all it really is. Okay, so we have I have the project coming up, so I want to redo the project solution using everything that I sort of know and did and all that fun stuff. But Axum 0.6 came out while we were recording in the data section. And so I'm thinking maybe want to do the project in 0.6, but in order to do that, I need to have a lesson on 0.6. So I'm thinking of inside of here, putting in and upgrading. So updating Axum. So this would be or maybe this would be like addendums. So addendums. Updating Axum 0.6. So then what I could do is go into routing section, and then just do the update to 0.6, and then the data section, update that to 0.6. Whatever is necessary for that, we get a video out of that one, and then the project we do in the latest version of 0.6. And that way later on we can then, so this would be updating lessons. This would be lessons to 0. So updating Axum to 0.6. We have lessons, and we have, well, potentially in the future, we'd have like projects in there too. I think it'd be a good idea to update ASAP so we don't write lots of code on an outdated Axum version. Okay, that's where my head is too. Okay, so we have save you off. So this is deployment. Deployment. All right, well, then in that case, let's spend the rest of today just sort of experimenting with what that upgrade would look like, because we have not looked at that at all. So let's see, let's open up. So we have data there. Let's also add in routes. So this is full stack course, backend, Rust, lessons, routing. If I could do this again, I would probably just combine these into one and just have a single server that we were doing for that. Yeah, I think that would have been a better choice. Okay, so for you, we're going to move you to 0.6. I want to stop this server and open up routing. Cargo watch. All right, let's see what happens. Because I believe it should have some errors, right? Yes. Okay, so it has... Oh, so now we need to implement clone. Okay. Oh, you know what might be good? Is to, in here, updating Axum to 0.6. So we have lessons. So I think what we want to do is updating reviewing 0.6 release notes. So that's the first thing we would do. And then we would do this. So where would I find the release notes? Probably, where do those go? Usually on GitHub, right? Let's go to routing, cargo doc. Okay, so Axum. Is there in local docs? Okay, so we're at version 0.6.1. Is there a list of? Does local docs give us the Oh no, it doesn't. It just is the documents for this thing. It doesn't have anything else. So that's too bad. Also, this got updated 6 hours ago to 0.6.1. So that's also a thing. I hope that they don't find too many more bugs that they have to update. Where is... Maybe the repository would have that. Okay, so it's not there. Is it in releases? Okay, so in Axum 0.6. Okay, so here's the information for the release. And so if I open up the release itself, there we go. Okay. So routing. Fixed nested routers are now allowed to have fallbacks. Oh, nested routers are allowed to have fallbacks. We didn't go over nested routers. It was out of scope for this. So I don't need to worry about that. Breaking. The request slash foo no longer matches foo rest. If you want to match foo, you have to add a route specifically for that. Oh, interesting. I never. Oh, we didn't run into that because we didn't even try something like that. So breaking path params for wildcard routes no longer include the prefix slash. So slash foo.js will match slash file star file path with the value of foo.js, not foo.js. Wait, what? Path params for wildcard routes no longer include the prefix slash. So slash foo.js will match slash star file path with the value of foo.js, not slash foo.js. For some reason, my brain is having a hard time understanding that. Is that basically just saying we need a leading slash? It's saying that the output in a path param doesn't have one. Oh, okay. So the output in a path param, we never use path param. We never use path. Is that right? Did we use path? Nope. Well, actually, did I create path parameters? So routing, source, routes. Path variables. So we have path like this. But not path, not path. Is that different? I didn't think that it ever had a string. I guess I always did it as a number, didn't I? Oh, I always did it as a number. Okay, it's using a wild card. So the way we used it was very different than the way that they're using it here. Because they're using it as a string. And that used to, path params with a wild card. Okay, and so we never had a wild card. We had just a colon. Interesting. Fixed. Routes like slash foo and wildcard rest are no longer considered overlapping. Foo will take priority. So slash foo rest slash foo bar. So bar will work. Okay. I mean, that's sort of the same as what we had already found. So a lot of these things are for wildcards. Interesting. Breaking. Automatic trailing stretch redirects have been removed. Previously, if you added a route for slash foo, Axum would redirect calls to slash foo slash to slash foo or vice versa. A request to get slash foo slash will now get a 404 not found, whereas, it would do a silent redirect. So that's actually really good to just be aware of. either explicitly add routes for those or use, oh, you could use this routing with TSR if you want the old behavior. Breaking. Router fallback now only accepts handlers similar to what get, post, etc. except use the new router fallback service for setting any service as the fallback. Okay, we never did a fallback, so we don't have to worry about this. We haven't used nested routers or into fallible. Router route no, only accepts method routers created with get, post, etc. Use the new route service for routing to any services. That's fine. Again, for us, we did a very simple server. Adding a route layer onto a router or method router without any routes will now. Oh, without any routes on the other side of it? Okay, so that will just panic. So again, not really that big of a deal. Router service has been removed since router now implements service when the state is nothing. Use router with state to provide the state and get a router. Note that router service only existed in the pre-release, not 0.5. Okay, so we never. Router server only existed in pre-release, not 0.5. So we don't have to worry about it because we were using 0.5. So this is for people that were, pre-release. Yeah, these are for people who were using 0.6 RC. Extractors. Added a new type-safe state extractor. This can be used with router with state and gives compile errors for missing states, whereas extension would result in runtime errors. Okay, so we have now states instead of extensions. We recommend migrating from extension to state for sharing application state, since that is more type safe and faster. That is done using a router with state and state. Okay, so this is the big one. So this setup in 0.5, we have this layer extension app state. It's like our database thing. And now becomes this in 0.6. So we have route. So with state, app state. Okay. If you have multiple extensions, you can use fields on app state and implement from ref. So we have app state. Okay, so we're going to need to create a state struct. And then we pass it in once with state. We don't pass in multiple with states. Yeah, these ones are really important. Okay, so I should be noting down. So big things. We don't really care about a lot of these at all. Okay, so this is probably something to be aware of. So viewing, maybe like reviewing 0.6 changes. Okay, so where did it go? Or what do we care about? In here, it's going to be automatic trailing slashes. That. Does this work in Markdown? Okay, kind of works. If I add in another item, or you know what I should do? I should link. I should link to this. Oh, can I link to this specific one? I cannot. Oh, that would have been nice. Okay, so I will link to this. And let's add this into the video descriptions. So, put Axum 0.6 has been released. You can view the release notes at I could link to the line in the changelog file. Oh, wait. Do they have a changelog file? They do have a changelog. Oh, okay. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to link to the changelog file. So Axum 0.6, Axum 0.6 has been released. You can view the release notes for 0.6 and future versions at you. Okay. Oh, I should do this thing. Okay, that looks right. Okay, so then we're going to review the change. Okay, so we'll review the 0.6 changes. Oh, this is a little bit nicer to look at in my mind. I don't know why. It just feels a little bit nicer to me. Okay, so this one is the first one to really go for either explicitly at, okay, so that one, then router fallback. So we haven't done this as part of the course. Nest. Done any of those? We haven't done any of those. That's pretty much the only thing in that one. Then extractors become big. We have state. If you have multiple extensions, you can use fields and app state and implement. Okay, yes, that's what we'd have to do. We have to create a bigger app state that does multiple things at the same time. And implement from ref. Where did I see them implement from ref on this? So app state is that. From handler state. Oh, they get the specific things off of the state. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Oh, that's cool. Okay. The drive requires enabling the macros feature. Right, and these are little states that they're using for to make it work. I guess I don't understand why. Oh, this is creating it. That's what it is. Okay, so we're defining it and we're creating it. So we use the from ref. Okay, got it. Breaking. It is now only possible for one extractor per handler to consume the bot request body. In 0.5, doing so would result in runtime errors, but in 0.6, it is a compile error. Axum forces this by only allowing the last extractor to consume the request. So JSON consumes the body. And so we want the string to happen first. Oh, you can use either JSON or string, but not both. Okay, so headers, we need to use headers first. It will consume the headers and then JSON because that will consume the request. So, okay, that's good to know. If your extractor needs to consume the request body, then you should implement from request. Otherwise, implement from request parts. So my extractor from request. So, oh, this is my reworking from request trades. Becomes this now. From request or from request parts. So this is send and sync. Send and sync. Oh, from request parts takes both in. When we get to writing this, this will help me sort of understand this a little bit more because we do have that custom extractor in the course. Okay. From request and from request parts derive macro re-exports from Axum macros behind the macros feature. Okay, nice. Add request ext and request parse x, which adds convenience methods for running extractors to request. Okay. Added JSON rejection now displays the path at which a deserialization error occurred. Probably wouldn't necessarily want to do that in production, though. That is interesting, though. Added extract raw form for accessing raw URL encoded query bytes or request body. Fixed use 400 bad request. Failed to deserialize query string rejections instead of 422 unprocessable entity. Okay, so that's nice. I did notice they had that in there, so that is good to know. Change the inner error of a JSON rejection is now assert a path error. Previously, it was assert a JSON error. Okay, not really too big of a deal for us. The default body limit now applies to the multi-part extractor. I don't think we ever came close to running into that. Content link limit has been removed. Use default body limit instead. Request parts has been removed as part of the from request rework. Body already extracted has been removed because it's now compile time errors. The following types or traits have a new S type param, which represents the state. So the router, method router, from request, and handler. Breaking matched path can now no longer be extracted in middleware for nested routes. In previous versions, it returned invalid data when extracted from a middleware applied to a nested router. Match path can still be extracted from handlers and middleware that aren't on nested routers. Breaking rename. Okay, so match path can no longer be extracted in middleware for nested routes. So basically, they fixed a bug about nested routes, which we don't really care about because we don't have nested routes. Breaking rename form rejection failed to deserialize form rejection failed to deserialize form. That will definitely break things. I don't think we are doing any form rejections though. So middleware added support running extractors on middleware from function functions. We can use extractors now on them. Oh, that makes it nice. Add middleware from function with state to enable. Oh, these are huge. Okay. This is going to make that middleware so much better. Like there's like, I don't know, 8 lines of that middleware function are just getting the extractors out of the request. Added middleware from extractor with state. Okay, so from extractor with state, map request with state for transforming the request with an async function. Map response for transforming the response with an async function. Support any middleware response that implements into response. Oh, nice. Okay, so our app response can just work in that, or our app error can just work in that. Remove extractor middleware, which was previously deprecated. Use Axum middleware from extractor instead. Require middleware added with handler layer to have infallible as the error type. Okay, so now handler layers have to be infallible, or just hard crash, I guess. All right. Miscellaneous added support compiling to WASM. All right. So yeah, that was the thing we were talking about earlier. Is we can now compile Axum to WASM. Add service extension with methods for turning any service into a make service, similar to router into make service. Added string and binary from impulse have been added to extract WS message to be more in line with tungstenite. Oh, WebSocket stuff. Okay. Add derive from ref. Add accept unmasked frame setting and WebSocket upgrade. Okay, so they added a bunch of WebSocket stuff. Annotate panicking functions with track caller. So the error message points to where the user added the invalid route rather than somewhere internally in Axum. So that's going to be nice. Changed Axum's MSRV is now 1.6. Okay. For methods that accept some as service, the bounds have been relaxed, so the response type must implement into response rather than just being a literal response. Okay. So that's just nice. Just allowing like everything does into response. Then new Tokyo default feature needed for WASM support. If you don't need WASM support but have default features equals false for other reasons, you likely need to re-enable the Tokyo feature. Wait, I need to re-enable the so wait. I need to re-enable it because I don't need WASM support. Oh, I don't think I have default features equals false. So I don't need to worry about that. Never mind. Breaking handler with state into service are merged into one type called handler service. Okay. I think there's going to be a lot of these type of things that we're going to have to deal with. Okay. So I don't need to worry about the pre-releases. And then we have 061. Expand the docs for, so 061 was just a docs update. It didn't update any of the actual stuff whatsoever, which is okay. That's good to know. So next time we're going to be going in and fixing all of these things. So let's see if I close. Okay, so if I open up routing, I mean, this should start showing me all the errors. There we go. Now we're seeing the errors. So we will work on this. Let's see. Today is Tuesday. Tomorrow I'll be going into the office, so I won't be streaming. So Thursday, I should be back on Thursday to continue working on this. We will implement these changes and get everything working here. So that's the idea, and then we'll create a video going through. We'll see if we have time, but like the next steps are fix this to sort of understand how it's going to go, and then do a video of fixing this, pretty much. Okay. With that, thank you all for hanging out with me today. Hopefully it was helpful. I'm super glad we've gotten like the main part of the course is done. Now we have this addendum and then the project to work on with 0.6, which I'm excited about. So with that, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you on Thursday at 7 a.m. Mountain Time. All right. Bye.